Mm.
Il film è stato raccontato.
Non è che mi sta... Io non so che mi stia mostrando.
Su Twitch facendo una raccolta fondi, quindi gli utenti ci hanno donato i soldi per...
You realize that, okay, you know a lot, you are among top when you talk to clients, when you talk to your colleagues, you will understand, you will realize that you have come a long way and you will get that confidence in you. And only at this stage you will be able to do what all those fake gurus were.
This AI tool will take your idea and create a complete book, complete with design, images, layout, everything, including the content, literally in a few minutes. Watch this. So I'm using Designer, which will import content from your blog, from a Google Doc or a Word doc, or even a YouTube, depending on the plan you choose. For now, I'm going to use Word Genie, the AI feature. So all I need to do is give it an idea and then click on next. And then just tell Word Genie what audience am I targeting my book towards. Then it'll just show me a selection of titles, which I'll just choose one that catches my eye. Then it'll suggest the outline for my book, which I'm free to edit as I see fit. And now the magic happens. It will generate the full content of the ebook ready for me to edit, tweak and tune. And obviously I want to make it my own so it comes across and reads really, really well. And so from here now it's saved as a draft, or I can simply choose a template. And there are hundreds of templates to choose from, and all of these are totally customizable. You can change anything, the images, the style, any of the text, whatever you want. So this one looks perfect for my niche, passion, grit, and success. All these images can be changed once I'm in the editor, and I can see I could do worksheets, I could do all sorts within this template. So now you can see all my content from my draft has been pulled into this template, and all the content's been laid out into single column, double column, images have been put in the right place. But of course, I can now customize and change anything. So if I don't like a chapter heading page, perhaps that image doesn't work for me, I can search my inbuilt image search tool and just select another image and it will just load it just like that. Any adjustments to the layout, to the style, I can just do with a couple of clicks. On the right, you can see all my navigation there, all laid out. And again, just changing images, just a few clicks, including the layout. If I don't want a double column layout and I want a single column, then I can just change it. And of course, I could do that manually as well, but it's a lot faster to use the inbuilt presets that are all set up because, within a few minutes, I've got my whole ebook all done and ready for publishing. So all that's left now for me to click publish, and it produces this beautiful PDF all ready to go. Or I can just click another button and select flipbook, and I've got a flipbook which I can share with my audience. Design is a well-established software company with over 320,000 customers, over 70 countries now. We're the leading ebook designer since 2016. We've won awards. We have hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot, Capterra, GetApp, Software Advice, and all of them. So why not join Designer? Click the link below to learn more.
So digital marketing in general, it consists of a bunch of different verticals of tactics that you need to execute. It consists of the collection of information on potential customers that then you need to connect with. It deals with email, it deals with digital advertising, it deals with content and the creation of websites, content strategy in general. A digital marketer would need to not only know the breadth of that landscape, but then the strategy for which how all of those pieces fit together. There is a lot of functional aspect to it too, where you need to then understand, all right, I have to start with a website because that's my home base. That's my 24-hour salesman. How do I create that website? What needs to be on the website? Functionally, how is that thing built? How do I need to be portraying the brand? So that needs to be like a very holistic strategy that this person can then understand and then technically be able to execute, to be able to write to it, be able to understand the customer, and then kind of marry all those things together. And once that exists, then it's saying, all right, what other ancillary assets need to then tack into this thing to then optimize for my own marketing ecosystem? And that could be emails. Then what systems are out there? How do I need to then be writing to relate to my potential customer? What is the life cycle stage of that customer? How many emails do I need to be sending out to them, and for what specific product? Same thing goes on the other side where it's like advertising. Where are my potential customers going online? How do I need to be communicating to them? What are they interested in? What type of creative will actually connect with them to get them to think of my product as a viable option for them? And then how can I target them from a demographic standpoint and then understand that they are a good fit for the product? While there is like a lot of functional aspect, technical aspect for setting all this up, a lot of it is kind of just like bigger thinking of strategy in that, all right, I need to set up all these different things to then hit my potential customer in this time frame window, which is when they first start researching for a product and when they actually purchase. And I need to then hit them all along that line to convince them that what we have is the best product for them. And so a digital marketer then needs to understand that strategy. They need to understand the technical aspect. They need to understand the brand, how to correlate that and connect it back to the potential customer. Thanks for watching. If you guys like the content, don't forget to hit subscribe for our channel. If you have other questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them. Just put them in the comments below.
G'day there, everybody. And here, I am the product manager at Waves Audio for a new service that we...
Hello there. In this video, I am going to tell you about different roles in a performance marketing team in agencies and what are their responsibilities. In a separate video, I will do about all the teams in a digital marketing agencies and their specific roles briefly. Now, different agencies might have different hierarchies, how they manage their teams and how different teams work with each other, and they might have even slightly different names for each role. But in this video, I am going to tell you about all those roles, all those names, and how different hierarchies work in a digital marketing agency.
So you guys know I'm all about being real, giving you realistic expectations about different careers and telling you which ones I like and which ones aren't that great.
Innanzitutto volevo dire che Shane Hummus, cioè, non solo per il digital marketing ma anche per altro, io lo consiglio vivamente perché anche se in inglese cioè, fa tante cose che ovviamente i dati li prende un po' per gli Stati Uniti, però approfondisce tanto, infatti sono 24 minuti.
Now, with that being said, digital marketing is one of my favorite careers, and here's why. There's a ton of demand. You can get into it relatively easily without work experience, and it pays well and opens up a lot of different paths to other jobs that pay even better. And so what I did is I reached out to a digital marketer that is extremely experienced, not only himself doing it, but also helping others become digital marketers themselves. His name is Seth Jared. He is a fellow YouTuber. I met him through a mutual friend, and I just had to get him on the channel because he has some invaluable insights about digital marketing. Now, I really think you guys are going to enjoy this one, so let's get right into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Shane here again. Today, I am very excited to welcome to the channel a very special guest. A friend of mine, Seth, he has another YouTube channel and he is a digital marketer, and I got him to come onto the channel so he could tell you how you can get into digital marketing, which is a career that I really like. It's also a career that you can transition into if you're not happy with your career right now, if you haven't gotten a college degree yet, or if you did get a college degree but it isn't working out. So, Seth, thank you so much for coming onto the channel.
My pleasure, Shane. I'm happy to be here.
So, Seth, you have one of the coolest stories I've heard, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to get you onto the channel so you could tell that story. So please let our viewers know about you.
Yeah, sure. Well, you know, like a lot of people, I graduated college.
можно без курточки.
Можна без курточки.
Там ветер холодный. Да, ну, холодный ветер теплый, юго-западный. Это выдумываешь.
With it. I had an art degree, film production, which was completely work. A lot of.
So please let our viewers know about you.
Yeah, sure. Well, like a lot of people, I graduated college with it. I had an art degree, film production, which was completely worthless. I spent a lot of years waiting tables, delivering pizzas, doing data entry, doing a lot of menial, unfulfilling jobs. No idea how to have a fulfilling career. And then I basically stumbled into digital marketing through a lot of my own research and exploration online. And through sort of trial and error, I ended up accumulating a skill set that I had no idea was actually in demand. And I tried to launch my own online businesses, but like a lot of people, I found that's a lot harder than some of the gurus make it seem. But with this skill set that I had accumulated, I actually got a job. I actually got hired to be an account technician doing PPC, which is pay-per-click advertising, like Google Ads. And in my first job back in 20C, which is pay-per-click advertising, like Google Ads. And in my first job back in 2011, I was hired with no experience and handed $100,000 a month in advertising to manage for this agency. And actually the VP of the company supervised me while I did this. And I was like overwhelmed, but excited. It was absolutely an exciting field. I had no idea it existed before. I learned so much. And I was able to leverage up from my first job where I was making just about $16 or $18 an hour, all the way up to six figures within 3 years in this field. And now, after having done that myself, I turned around in 2016 and I started teaching other people how to do that.
All right, so I have evaluated a lot of different careers on this channel, and one question I get all the time from a lot of people who comment on my channel and people I work with is a lot of them, for one, they want to, have a good career that they really enjoy, that pays well, you have a lot of upward mobility, and it's a valuable skill set. But they also don't want to have to go to college because college is extremely
Ginger.
expensive. Oftentimes the degrees don't work out. In the case of marketing, for instance, they might be teaching you, depending on the program you go to, stuff that worked like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, but they're not teaching you stuff that worked right now. So can you kind of speak on that?
Producers, if you struggle finding sounds and samples that work for you, then you have to check out this plugin. It's called
Learning about, modern marketing, digital marketing, kind of the way that it's actually being done now versus learning about it in school.
I'm very much in alignment with what you're saying. School, university is so out of date. It's so out of touch with the realities of what employers and the industry is actually looking for. Most marketing programs are run by tenured professors. In fact, I actually Googled NYU, which is my alma mater. I looked at their marketing program, and the photograph on the front page of the website is a guy who's got to be in his late 70s or 80s teaching this class. And I'm not trying to be ageist. I'm just talking practically. Guys who got professors who got tenure 20 or 30 years ago are not adapting and do not understand modern marketing, which is primarily digital. Digital marketing has overtaken traditional marketing, as most people may not know the details of that, but you have an idea that the internet's kind of a big deal. And if you enroll in a marketing program at even the top universities in the country, they literally do not include digital in the curriculum. You're learning things like macroeconomics and statistics and things like billboard and radio and TV. I'm not kidding, man. I mean, I've had so many marketing majors come into my program because they're like, hey, I got my degree, but I can't find a job, so I'm looking for some actual practical skill sets. So digital marketing is always changing. It's very obviously cutting edge, so you need to learn it in a cutting edge medium. You need to learn it online. In some of these programs too, they have textbooks, and having a textbook is ridiculous in this field because something that was printed in 2020 is already out of date. So you definitely want to get, the information from something that is as current as the internet.
Got it. And so for the viewers who aren't fully aware of exactly what digital marketing is, can you kind of break that down a little bit further and kind of tell us the like kind of just the big picture of what digital marketing is exactly?
Yeah, so digital marketing is obviously marketing done on the internet. And the broad strokes for people, like I didn't know anything about this before I stumbled into this field. It's basically advertising and marketing. We're all aware of it, especially in the West. We all know about TV commercials, and TV commercials are such a part of our culture that like during the Super Bowl, everybody talks about the commercials. Like we know advertising is everywhere. And it used to be TV, radio, newspaper, billboards back before the internet. Those were the big places to get to advertise. And if you're a small business, you really had no options except for this little thing called the Yellow Pages, which were these phone books that would get literally physically delivered to people's houses every year. And there were very few options. Now the internet started out.
Ok, pausa Mani e Arnica probabilmente.
Passou, chorei, acabou. Menina, só vai estar aqui, ó. Não te apoiou, você dá uma rolada aí, tá? Tá, tô pretina trochę. Теперь что достаточно.
Slowly, over 20 years, it's obviously become huge. And all that advertising from TV, from radio, from newspapers. I mean, who advertises in newspapers anymore, right? Everybody's advertising online. That's how Google makes all their money, is through advertising. Like, at least like 80 or 90% of their revenue is not from Android. It's not from whatever other products they have. It's from those little ads on the side of the searches, people clicking on those. It's called pay-per-click advertising. So digital advertising refers to all forms of advertising online, whether it's when you do a Google search and you see those ads, whether you're on a website and you see ads all over the website, whether you're on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook and you see advertising. Digital marketing is all over the internet.
Got it. Okay, so that's really interesting. How does that help people get jobs in terms of the opportunity that's in the market right now? Because one thing I talk about a lot on my channel is just, supply and demand, and how much demand there is for a job pretty much predicts almost everything else in most markets, like how much you get paid, your job satisfaction, and a bunch of other things like that. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Con competenze di analisi dei dati puoi diventare un professionista migliore, e per imparare i concetti chiave partendo dalle basi ti basta partire.
Absolutely. So the demand for digital marketers is incredibly high, and it has been growing ever since 2011 when I got my first job. As you know, during the pandemic, we started to see more and more like internet advertising and internet revenue just blew up even more. It had been growing a lot over the last 10 years, but it went exponential because businesses who have been resisting the internet were forced to go online because they couldn't do physical business. So the demand for, just to give you some numbers, like on LinkedIn, every day back in 2016, 2017, when I started teaching people about this, there were about 30 to 40,000 open digital marketing jobs in the US every day. And they'd be filled, and then new jobs would come on the market, and it was always changing. Now there's over 200,000 open jobs in the US on LinkedIn every day. So it's about 5 times as many jobs. The reason there is such a high demand is obviously, as I said, more and more commerce is turning to the internet, and the jobs themselves involve managing this advertising. The Google ads, the Facebook ads, the Instagram ads, organic web search, which is called SEO. I can talk more about that a little bit later. But the interesting thing is that these skill sets are things that the average person can learn directly. Versus traditional advertising with like TV. Like you couldn't just like run your own TV ad and learn about it, because TV advertising is incredibly expensive, and it's very elite. It's very difficult to, there's only so many TV stations. And radio, it's the same thing. It's very expensive. You couldn't never get experience like that through your own self-education. But with this internet advertising, anybody can set up an advertising account and learn how to do this. And also, that's what I teach people. So you can actually learn about it online as well. And as the demand has grown and grown and grown, nobody really knows about this field. I call it the most in-demand career nobody knows about. And it's insane to me because I started teaching this about 6 years ago, and I assumed within about a year or two, the opportunity would pass, because I figured the colleges would smarten up, the public would wise up to these opportunities, but nobody did. Now there's more and more of these like digital marketing boot camps and stuff that I think are starting to wise up to these opportunities. But compared to the supply of skilled workers, the demand is just excessive. And that's why it's such a great opportunity right now.
Got it. And the $1,000,000 question, something that everybody wants to know, how much can you expect to make like right off the bat? And then how much can you expect to make within a few years?
Okay, that's a great question. So I've been doing this for 6 years, so I have solid like data to back this up. So what I tell people is this is a long-term investment. So within 1 year of experience, you should be making about $60,000 a year. Typically, the typical path for my students is that they start out in my training and I teach them how to basically generate their own experience through freelancing or volunteering or just basically getting hands-on experience initially and then how to leverage that into an entry-level position. The entry-level position can pay anywhere from like the very low end, like $35,000 a year. But now as things have been changing in the US, the economy's been changing. I've been having more and more students getting hired around $45,000-$50,000 a year. I even had a couple of 19-year-olds with no college degree getting hired at $52K a year. Again, with no previous experience other than what they did in my training. But I tell people don't like expect to get 50 right out of the bat. A low paying job, like a $35,000 a year job, is very valuable, not for the salary, but for the experience. Because once you get your hands on more and more accounts, and once you're actually working on real businesses and you put that on your resume, then you can leverage that in about a year up to at least 60K. And then within 2 years, most students are making 70 to 80K. And by 3 to 4 years, that's when you can break 6 figures. And that's what I did.
Got it. And then let's pretend I'm somebody who's never done digital marketing. I have 0 digital marketing experience. How long?
Con competenze di analisi dei dati puoi diventare un professionista migliore e per imparare i concetti chiave partendo dalle basi ti basta partecipare alla Boolean Data Week, un evento completamente gratuito con lezioni.
How long with your training typically would it take somebody to learn digital marketing and then land their first entry-level job?
So for the typical student, it takes between about 2 to 6 months, depending on the student's, how much bandwidth they have to actually ingest this information, absorb it, and apply it. Some people have a full-time job or they're full-time students, so they can only put in like a half hour, an hour a day. Obviously, it's going to take those folks longer. People who can dedicate more time to this are going to have faster results. But something that I teach, and I think one of the reasons that I've been doing this for so long, is that I want people to have a really solid foundation. I've seen some other programs out there, and there was a big craze a couple years ago with all the social media agency management with like Tai Lopez and stuff, where they were really promoting this almost like a crypto coin, where it's like, hey, you're going to make a ton of money really fast and just, sell people on Facebook ads. And that was great, but they didn't actually teach people how to actually do the work. And my program is a little bit slower and has more consistent long-term results because I want you to you're learning a completely new skill set. And there are college and university programs that are taking 2 years to get a degree, which is way too long. On the other hand, it's not something you can learn in 5 minutes or
Ciao.
in a day or two. You want to be able to put in weeks and weeks of time ingesting the information, learning about how to do things like PPC and SEO, practicing on your own website. And then you also have to you have to build your confidence. That's the biggest issue I see with people is their mindset, which is why I really enjoy giving people a lot of mindset support and encouragement. There's a really supportive community because a lot of people have the same concerns I think that your viewers probably do, which is that, I'm not a digital marketer. I've never done this before. And people feel imposter syndrome initially. But the more hands-on experience, the more time you spend on it, the confidence level just grows and grows and grows over time. And that's why, again, it also depends on the student's personality. Some people get so lit up by this and so excited that they get results. And some of them get hired within like a month or two. And that's amazing. But I would say more commonly, it's like a few months, anywhere between 3 to 6 months. Sometimes it takes people a little longer. It takes like 8 months. But people do get hired if they stick with it and they stay determined because businesses need these skills.
All right. So one of the reasons why I brought you on the channel specifically when I was looking up, different YouTube channels with different careers is because I saw your Instagram and your YouTube channel and you have seriously probably the most reviews I've ever seen for somebody selling a course on how to, get into a career. Like you have an absolutely ridiculous amount of reviews. And I was talking to you earlier and you said that you've actually helped over 10,000 people overall, help to get a job in digital marketing, which is absolutely ridiculous. So can you kind of just maybe talk a little bit about some of the reviews and like some of the coolest highlight stories that you've had with your students?
It's been incredibly fulfilling to help so many people with this, get jobs in this field. And yeah, there are legit success stories, like people, you can contact them on LinkedIn, you can see the companies they work for, you can see their first name, their last name, they will answer your questions. Karen was a great success story. She was like 19, didn't want to get a bachelor's degree, took the course, got an internship and an agency job. This is back in like 2017. I've actually interviewed her many times. I think you might even interview her. She went from working at an agency to doing freelance work. She's bilingual, so she was working for a Spanish-speaking insurance company doing SEO, making $52,000 a year part-time when she was like 20. And then she went on to work at Glassdoor, making six figures, and now she's working at a startup, also making six figures, just crushing it. I had so many people over 6 years, I can't actually keep track of all of them, but like recently, I've had like a 19-year-old, like Keyshawn, who was like a lot of people in high school. He didn't want to go to college. He knew he didn't want to do something on the internet, but he didn't know what to do. He took the course, got a $52,000 a year entry-level job, and he leveled up to $70K at this new agency within 6 months. And he's like, he literally just wrote to me. He's laughing because he's going to some conference in Miami, and they're all going to go. The team's all going out to a bar. He's like, I can't go because I can't drink because he's not 21. I had like. Because I can't drink. Miami, and they're all going to go, the team's all going out to a bar. He's like, I can't go because I can't drink because he's not 21. I had like Andrea, who was one of my coaches. She was working in the healthcare field. She was burnt out because she was being underpaid and overworked. She found, my course, and she got an SEO job at Thomson Reuters, which is this, giant multinational company. She's doing, working on their property fine law, which is basically SEO for lawyers. And she's been doing it for about 3 years and her life has changed. Nick, my other coach, he was working at Metro PCS when he found the course, making like $11 an hour. Now he's making like $80K. He's worked with Netflix and other huge brands. He's managed millions in ad spend. This is over a period of like 3 to 4 years. But Armando, 52 years old. He's like one of my older students. He's a Marine. He was working in like selling like medical technology, very unhappy, took the course, and he ended up working at Caesars Entertainment as doing search engine management. And he's moved on since then. I could go on and on. I mean, I think that's what the channel is for. But yeah, man, there's a whole network of people, and the alumni, it's really awesome is the alumni are so happy that they come back to my course and help out the current students. They share job opportunities. They offer, advice. It's really been great in that regard.
Awesome. So I have two more questions really quickly. The first one is,
Con competenze di analisi dei dati puoi diventare un professionista migliore e per imparare i concetti chiave partendo dalle basi ti basta partecipare alla Boolean Data Week, un evento completamente gratuito con lezioni in diretta e insegnanti esperti da cui imparare. Durante le dirette dal 15 al 19 aprile ti insegneremo come si analizzano i dati e come si costruiscono dashboard interattive partendo completamente da zero. Il tema di questa edizione ti farà immergere
is can you do this as a remote job? How common is it, especially after everything that happened in the last few years, for people to be able to do this as a remote job? Because I know a lot of my viewers really like either doing a hybrid model where they're partially remote or they're fully remote.
Right. Remote jobs are abundant in this field. Now, I did a video back in like 2019, and actually I was very discouraging. I was like, some people get remote jobs, but it's like 1 out of 10 or something like that. And you have to have a lot of experience. Well, I think I took that video down because it's totally different now. Again, because of the pandemic, we have to thank for that. Most agencies and most of my most recent successes have been getting remote jobs. And, the paradigm shift that happened during COVID has been a good thing in many ways because most of these agencies realized, they can get more efficiency, happier workers, and they can save on the overhead of having an actual office. Now, there are still on-site, in-house jobs, and there's a lot of hybrid jobs. What's happened with a lot of agencies where they go, hey, we kind of want to have a good mix of socializing and culture and remote work. So you might have a job where you work remotely 3 days a week, but you go into the office and socialize 2 days a week. But remote work is very, very common in this field now.
Got it. And then the second question I want to ask, this is another thing I talk about quite a bit on my channel. Flexibility is extremely underrated when you're looking at different careers. So when I talk about flexibility, not only do I mean like, is it a career that has a high vertical, like can you rise up through the ranks and get paid more and more? But on top of that, is it a career that teaches you a skill set that is going to help you to switch into a different career later on down the line if you have a better opportunity, something like maybe product manager, something along those lines. And then another thing that I talk about is in terms of flexibility, is it a really valuable skill set that is just going to help you in other areas of your life in general, whether you want to start your own business down the line or something along those lines. So is digital marketing one of those careers that's extremely flexible?
It's absolutely. So, and I know, God, if I was listening to this, I'd be like, it sounds like almost too good to be true. But the way I look at it is like, this is just what happens when you find an opportunity that not that many people know about. So the general mainstream does not have any clue about these jobs. And even when my students get hired, their families, like my parents still don't know what I do. You can't explain it. Absolutely. So, and I know, God, if I was listening to this, I'd be like, it sounds like almost too good to be true. But the way I look at it is like, this is just what happens when you find an opportunity that not that many people know about. Still, the general mainstream does not have any clue about these jobs. And even when my students get hired, their families, like my parents still don't know what I do. You can't explain it. And that's why these things are possible. So the flexibility and the value of digital marketing is, there's threefold, like three things, but two things you mentioned and one thing I'm going to add in. Number one, in terms of opportunities, absolutely. My course, what it does is it's almost like kindergarten. It gives people the language, the basics, and the foundations. And I want people to get that first agency job, because what a lot of other courses do that I don't like is they're either too thin, they don't have enough information, or they have too much. And they overwhelm people, information overload, and they're giving them theory. And I'm like, look, I'm going to give you just enough information to get that first job. Once you're on the job, you learn so much. And my students, they pivot into places I don't even realize. Like I got people who are doing AI, they're learning how to code JavaScript, which I can't do. You don't have to do that. Other people get into branding. Other people, like Angel is one of my students, Angel Nieves, right? He started out, he's working at Staples. He got an agency job making $40K a year doing SEO. Then he went up to $70K. Then he went over 100, and he's working in a very interesting business, which is a SaaS company, software as a service. So he's doing like enterprise level SEO on these giant websites, which is a very niche skill set within SEO. So people, my students, they pivot all over the place. So he's doing like enterprise level SEO on these giant websites, which is a very niche skill set within SEO. So people, my students, they pivot all over the place all the time. They get up to manager levels, which is when you really start making the six figures. You want to, within digital marketing, there's a lot of different areas. You get into copywriting, you could do brand strategy for a big company. There's a lot of different things you can do. I don't think, like you mentioned, product manager. I don't even know what that is. No, you wouldn't go from digital marketing to product manager. But within digital marketing, there's just like a lot of different options. And then that...
Con competenze di analisi dei dati puoi diventare un professionista migliore e per imparare i concetti chiave partendo dalle basi.
Are you thinking about becoming a digital marketer? Maybe you shouldn't. In this video,
No, per fortuna.
I'm going to explain why. Digital marketing as a field has been so hyped over the last few years. In this video, we're going to see if it's really what it's cracked up to be. Hi, my name's Ed. I'm Chief Marketing Officer here at Career Foundry, and I've been working in the field of marketing for the last 12 years. In those 12 years, I've experienced the positives and the negatives, the ups and the downs of working in this field. And today, I actually want to share a few of the negatives with you. So let's be honest, every job in the world has its positives and its negatives, its ups and its downs. And it's important to have a realistic conception of what these are before entering the field. Otherwise, you might find that you take a wrong turn in your career. And of course, digital marketing is no exception. So in this video, I've taken 5 examples of the downsides of digital marketing to make sure that you're fully informed going into this new career. So, to point one. Point one is responsibility. As a digital marketer, you'll be carrying a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. Each month or each quarter, you'll have certain targets, such as a lead target or a number of sales calls that you want to make, or a certain number of sales that translates directly into company revenue. And obviously, if the company isn't hitting its revenue targets, then that could be a serious problem. And one of the offshoots or consequences of this is that marketers tend to be quite biased towards action. So they'll be carrying out quite a lot of different activities within a relatively short space of time in order to try and drive that growth. So as a digital marketer, you need to be okay with a little bit of time stress now and again, and also with carrying some responsibility on your shoulders. And that brings me to point number 2, which is balancing the short term and the long term. So on the one hand, you're biased towards action, towards delivering for the short term. And on the other hand, you need to place bigger bets, so long-term bets that will lead to the longer-term prosperity of the company. If you think about an ad campaign,
Ciao.
on YouTube or even on television, the kind of time that it takes to prepare those campaigns is quite considerable. It's going to take you a month or two probably to turn around those campaigns, if not more, from concept to delivery. So you need to balance the kind of investment that you put into short-term tactics and strategies with the longer-term strategies to really help build the brand in the long term. So as a digital marketer, you need to be strategic. You need to be able to evaluate the short term and the long term in order to have an effective marketing mix. And that brings me to point number 3, which is proving a return on investment. So whenever you're working on one of these long-term bets especially, you're saying to your manager or to your C-level, whoever owns the budget, that you think you can make more revenue back from this campaign than you're investing in it. And by doing that, you'll drive the growth of your company. But for something so abstract as an ad campaign or a brand ad campaign, it's obviously very difficult not only to prove the return on investment upfront and therefore convince your C-level or your budget owner, it's also even difficult to prove it after the campaign has happened. So that presents 2 challenges for the digital marketer. Number 1 is convincing your manager that the campaign is really worth it, that it's a good idea. And number 2 is, after the campaign is finished, really demonstrating that it was successful using the data that's available to you. So as a digital marketer, you need to be persuasive, and you also need to be okay with receiving rejection now and again. And that brings me to point number 4, which is internal marketing. So obviously you need to be persuasive when you're running campaigns and you're convincing managers to attribute budget to certain places, but you're also tasked with something kind of bigger. And that is building the brand of the company and selling that not only externally, but also internally. And this, to some degree, is an even bigger challenge, because nowadays, everyone in a modern company, to some extent, identifies with that company. So as soon as you start saying, this is our brand, this is what we stand for, and this is how we talk, it kind of impacts the identity of the people that work within that company. And sometimes people might like that because it supports their identity, but sometimes people might really, really not like it because it kind of goes against their identity. And in this case, whenever you put a step forward and you say, this is our brand, you're going to have quite a lot of pushback from different areas within the company, and somehow you have to bring everyone together behind this unique and unified image of yourselves. So what does that mean for your skills as a digital marketer? It means you need to be really good at communication and presentation, but also at working at high levels of abstraction as well. Also, if you're finding these tips useful, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more digital marketing content in the future. Okay, that brings me to point number 5, which is product market fit. So every growing company or startup is looking for this elusive product market fit, that moment where their product meets a big need in the market and a high level of demand. But it's not always the case, and in fact it's quite rarely the case that you really hit this inflection point where suddenly your product is in massive demand. And you're probably going to be dealing with a product where demand fluctuates over. Digital marketing is a huge and exciting field with tons.
High demand and low supply of skilled workers. This is actually a copy of an email I got from a recruiter expressing her frustration with finding people that actually have this skill set. This is a career field that was solid back during COVID-19. This is a student of mine, Amity, who got hired during COVID, and that was very exciting to be able to help people during that. It's obviously a very difficult time in the world, but this is a field that has actually grown since then a lot more than other industries. This is a recession-proof career because companies always need people to do the skill sets I'm going to be sharing with you. This is a field that has grown astronomically in the last 20 years. This is the revenue of one of the top companies in this field. As you can see, it's gotten into the billions and billions of dollars. And the spend in this field is projected to get up to, go over 600, 700, up to 800, almost $1 trillion as we near 2030. This is also a field that almost nobody knows about. You're not going to hear about these jobs on CNBC, Fox News, CNN, or LinkedIn News. It still kind of blows my mind that this is possible, but the things that you're going to see in the mainstream are not going to be talking about this skill set or these high-income jobs. So how would you like to make $150,000 a year working just 3 hours a week from your phone while being fed grapes by a beautiful man or woman? Okay, I'm kidding, all right? I'm kidding because I know there's so many presentations and offers out there that are so crazy. I'm kind of making fun of them. This is what I call inspiration grounded in reality. Now, this is a picture of Athena, who's one of my actual students who worked her butt off for 3 years before she was able to afford this Tesla, which she was very proud of. She actually also able to buy her family a home, which was awesome, but it took a few years. Most webinars are going to give you unrealistic expectations and manipulation through flashy images and suggestive language. I don't do that. Okay, I'm going to be sharing with you real stories of real people that I've helped since 2016. These are people you can find on LinkedIn and Instagram, and you can talk to them if you want. And you're going to see people grow over time. This is not a $10,000 in 30 days BS offer. This is a long-term investment that requires hard work and patience to get incredible, life-changing results. Now, this is a field where you can go from no knowledge to an entry-level remote job in 1 to 6 months. And the field I'm talking about, by the way, is digital marketing. This is an internet-based field. I'll be getting more into it as the presentation goes on. This is Kyan, who got his first entry-level job when he was just 20 years old. No college degree, and he was working remotely and got his foot in the door in this field. Remote is the new normal. Before the pandemic, remote work was not common, but now most companies work remote or are open to it, or hybrid work, or sometimes you're working in an office and sometimes you're working at home, as the entire job is done via the internet. Now, in some cases, entry-level jobs can pay as much as $60,000 a year. This is Tito Fuentes, who is an SEM analyst at Horizon Media. And he's making $60,000 in his first entry-level job, which is incredible. However, more often than not, you're going to leverage a $40,000 or $50,000 job up to $50,000 or $60K within 6 months to a year. This is a good example here. Kayla, her first job, she made $40,000 a year. 11 months later, she's making $55,000, and actually she's making more than that now. I'll show you her update. What she's doing later in the presentation. This is Matt. His first job was $50,000 a year, and these are common salaries. And within 2 to 3 years, you can be making 6 figures, like Athena, who was working at an agency when she was only 19 years old, and then in her early 20s, was making 6 figures a year in an in-house position, which was so very, very exciting. This is also a great story here. Keyshawn sent me this very emotional email when he was just 19. He got a $50,000 job doing PPC, which I'm going to talk about what that is in a minute. Within about a year, he was up to $70,000, and then year after that, he got up to 86. He hustled very hard. He took all that passion and energy that people have when they're 19 to 20 years old. And because he learned this skill, and because he learned how to make money for companies, he was able to leverage up to almost $100,000 within just a couple of years. It's truly inspiring, especially considering most of his peers who decided to go to college are going to be leaving college with debt and no career, or just starting their careers when he's already well into his career. So that I'm very proud of him, and I'll talk more about him a little bit later as well. So a little bit more about me. I have been doing this for many years now, and I visited my students in real life. I visited students in New York City, Dallas, Atlanta, San Francisco. I love meeting my students in real life. It's exciting to meet people via the internet, of course, but meeting in real life is just so fulfilling, and I really love doing it. And this is just a few of the companies that my students have worked with. They've managed advertising for Netflix, Mercedes-Benz, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, all sorts of huge companies. And again, they all started where you were with no knowledge about this skill or this field, got the knowledge, started very modestly, and have been able to work their way up to work with multi-billion-dollar companies. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about my story, so I'll give you a little bit of context on how this all came to be. Because before 2010, I was a broke art school graduate. I was a film major working terrible office jobs, and I felt like this. So I've been where you are. I was starting at zero. I didn't know anything about the internet or websites or advertising at all. I graduated college, worked a bunch of retail jobs. I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I felt like I had missed out on something or I was doing something wrong. And I didn't know how to make money. I went to this seminar. A friend of mine took me to this seminar where it was teaching people how to get more business with a website. And I didn't know anything about this, and I barely understood it, but I was hooked. I spent about a year stumbling around the internet, learning SEO, Google Ads, email marketing, hoping to make big money on the internet and quit my day job, like you may have seen people advertising even now, this kind of dream. And I even built some of my own sites, and I made a little bit of money. I actually made a course on filmmaking, and because I had gone to film school. And I made a little bit of money. This is my first check I got for about $114. I was very excited to be helping people and making money doing it. But, you know, I wasn't making enough money to live on. You know, I was on unemployment at the time, and was spending like 10 to 14 hours a day teaching myself about digital marketing, building websites, making a few $100s a month. But it wasn't enough to pay my rent, so I had to get a telemarketing job. And I don't know if you ever had a telemarketing job. It is not fun. It is not fun, but I needed to pay the bills, right? But on my lunch break one day, I saw an ad for something called account technician. I didn't know what that was, but it said you needed to have knowledge in SEO, PPC, and again, I'm going to define what these things are a little bit later in the presentation. So I cobbled together my resume based on all my own struggles and all the stuff I taught myself randomly for the past year. I didn't really have any hope of getting this job, but I figured I'd give it a shot. They wrote back to me in 30 minutes. This is the actual email from Pete, who's the VP of the company. The president and founder of the company, and I was meeting with him and Aaron, who was the VP, and they wanted to interview me. Well, I was so nervous. I didn't know anything about this field, but I just talked to them and nerded out about digital marketing, all the stuff I had been doing for the last year, trying to teach myself. And we talked for about 2 hours, and to my shock, they offered me the job. And at the time, it was $16 an hour, which was amazing at the time, considering I had been making much less than that. And this happened just as my parents were coming to visit. So I was so happy because I was like, I don't want to have to face my parents being being unemployed or working a really low paying job. So this was very exciting. But here's the crazy part. On the first day, they handed me $100,000 a month in ad spend to manage. And I was shocked. I was overwhelmed, and because I'd only spent like $50 on my own site, just kind of screwing around with these advertising platforms. But the VP of the company mentored me and supported me with the rest of the team. And I went from $16 an hour to $18 an hour. Within a year, I found another job making $30 an hour. And then by 2014, yes, this was a long time ago, that old, this happened. I got an offer letter for a job with a salary of $75,000 plus bonuses, which ended up being over 6 figures. And I was just blown away at what had happened in just a couple of short years after getting the skill set. In 2016, I decided to start teaching other people to do the same thing I had done, which is basically learning this skill set from scratch and then getting entry-level jobs. And you can see, even back then, I was already getting successes. People were having success following the system that I had been teaching them. I had a student over here making $40K a year, $45K even in Australia, $45K. These are the entry-level positions, and this has been going on for years. So there's a lot to cover, guys, in this presentation. We're going to take baby steps. And as you can see, this is a scene from the movie What About Bob, which is hilarious if you've never seen it. I like to make a lot of movie references in my presentations. I try to keep things fun. Again, we are going to take baby steps because there's a lot of information to get through here. So here's the first question. How do Google and Facebook make money? Most people's answer is, is the confused look that Mark Wahlberg had in the movie The Happening. The answer is advertising, okay? When you use Google and you type a word into Google, we call that a keyword. And that keyword triggers Google to serve up advertisements. You may have never even clicked on one of these things, but just so you know, when you see the word ad at the top, those are advertisements. And whenever you do a Google search and you see ads, and if you click on the ad, Google gets paid each time somebody clicks on these ads. And I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of clicking happening. Google gets 63,000 searches a second, 3.8 million searches a minute, 5.6 billion searches a day, 2 trillion searches a year. This is incredible. And Google still dominates the search engine market. Now, back in the old days, if you wanted to advertise, this required big budgets or an in. You know, we had radio, TV, billboards, Madison Avenue, Suits, Mad Men. This was not for the average person. The average person was like, you needed a lot of money and power to actually be able to advertise. But now, do you want your ads to show up on Google's 2 trillion annual searches? I mean, that the volume is insane. It's where everybody searches for things. You can actually set up an account and have your ads show up almost instantly, no matter who you are. You don't need to be Don Draper to do this. Now, while everyone uses the internet and understands that it has changed how we communicate and how we do business, Most people do not realize that this has created a $700 billion industry that is approaching the $1 trillion mark. As you can see, these are projections going from all the way back in 2021 all the way up to 2027. More and more money is being spent on digital marketing. More and more people are spending more and more time on the internet and not, reading newspapers, right? So this is a graph of the advertising revenue of Google from 2001 back to in 2022 is the last number here, but of course it's gone up since then. The last number here is $224 billion per year. It's past that at this point, getting closer to 300 billion and higher. And back in 2019 is the first time that digital eclipsed traditional, meaning before that point, people were still spending more money on things like newspaper, television, and radio. But after 2019 and since then, everything is on the internet. And I'm using this to illustrate the scope of this industry. And again, it's projected to continue growing and growing and growing into the future, going to be near $1 trillion as we approach 2030. Now remember, traditional advertising back then was inaccessible for the average person, but digital advertising nowadays is accessible. This is a picture of one of my students working at his agency, and this is me with a bunch of my students working at an agency. This is actually Athena, who I mentioned earlier, working at her first job back when she was 19 at her first agency job in Orange County. So the question is this: if Google is so easy to use and it's so easy to get your ads showing up, why do these jobs exist? How have my students had so much success over the years? And this is why. Google presents itself like it's super easy to use, and it's very similar to a casino. I love it when casinos do advertising. Look at this. You're going to need a bigger wallet. And then you're thinking, yeah, wow, I'm just going to take thousands of dollars, go to this casino, and I'm going to make a ton of money. Well, we all know that's not how casinos work. Most people lose money in casinos, and the same thing is true with Google. Google is the casino. They're the house. Google gets paid money per click. If you click on an ad, Google gets paid a lot of money. It doesn't matter if you end up becoming a customer for the advertiser that paid for the click. It doesn't matter if it's a good click. It doesn't matter if the advertiser makes any money. This is Google over here. It's Robert De Niro saying, pay me, pay me. This is Teddy KGB from the movie Rounders. Pay me, okay? Google has all the power. And they say Google Ads is easy, but this is just a quick example of the dashboard of Google Ads. One iteration of the dashboard. It's actually been updated since then. But look at this. I mean, it looks like a spaceship. Imagine you're a small business owner. You're an electrician, or you run a law firm, or you have a pizza shop, and your full-time job is running your business. Then you got to figure all this stuff out. It looks like a spaceship. It is not easy for the average person to use. It's marketed to businesses as being easy, but look at this. It's not. It's not like you just click a button and start making money. And the cost of these clicks varies widely from industry to industry. But let's say you're a divorce attorney, which is, of course, a very competitive, high, there's a lot of money in that field. Advertisers can pay as much as $45 per click. That means if you were to Google this and click this top result here, those people paid $45 for that click. It's even higher in things like car insurance. It can be as much as $100 a click, which is pretty crazy when you really think about it. On the other end of things, if you're selling something like a tungsten carbide ring, which is not that expensive or that profitable, the click cost may be as low as $2. It's all based on auctions and competitions. The point is there's a lot of money being spent, and business owners blow a ton of money setting up their ad campaigns incorrectly. Business owners understand that they need a qualified professional to manage their ads effectively. So Google, Facebook ads, like I said, it's not easy, but it's not rocket science. You can learn it. Everyone you've seen who's had success here or in my testimonials on YouTube, they all started out not being geniuses or geeks, but it's just not as easy as the geeks at Google or the casino say it is. Basically, the idea is companies need someone acting in their best interest, not Google's best interest. Marketing requires someone dedicating their attention. A business owner can't both run their business, which is often not more than a full-time job, and learn how to do the marketing. Now let's talk about Google Ads, or what is also known as is search engine management, SEM, or PPC, pay per click, or paid search. What's so cool about this field, and why I think a lot of my students like it and I like it, is that it is a good mixture of left and right brain qualities, analytical and creative qualities that you need to do this job well. On the left brain side of things, sort of analytical side of things, you have things like keyword research, which is like researching the words people are typing into Google, checking out what the cost of clicks are, analyzing the data, seeing what's being spent efficiently, what's not being spent efficiently, problem solving, and basic business math. And on the right brain creative side of things, you have to write ad copy, try to come up with creative things that are going to catch people's attention. You have to deal with websites and optimizing web pages to make sure that they are more efficient in terms of getting more customers to be interested in people's products. Strategies, psychology. So it's not completely dry analytical work. It actually has creativity as part of it, which again is another reason I think it's such a cool field. Learning to manage ads can be learned and implemented by you online from home, which again is very different than those days where you had to go to Madison Avenue to do advertising. Search engine management, SEM, this is just one of the digital skill sets we're going to talk about in this presentation. And you don't get these skills through an expensive degree or years of training. These are skills and employers and agencies need. And you are about to encounter what I call the perfect storm of foolishness and opportunity, which was what it makes it so possible to get into this field with no previous experience. Number one, you have an explosive paradigm shifting new industry. Everything I talked about before about all the money being spent on digital, how traditional advertising is out, how Google has gone from making like $3 billion in 2004 to over $250 billion as into the 2020s. And on top of that, with all the money being spent, you also have the platform that is accessible to the average person. On top of that, you have the mainstream's complete obliviousness to this industry. I have been scratching my head about this since 2016, guys. I call it the most in-demand career nobody knows about. If you go on LinkedIn or CNBC, I always see articles saying, oh, these are the top skills to get for the future. You never see digital marketing, search engine management, or SEO, or the other things I'm going to talk about here mentioned. You see things like, hey, Amazon's hiring new warehouse workers, CVS and FedEx are hiring. And as we all know, these are not great jobs. These are not high-paying jobs. The high-paying jobs in digital marketing, almost nobody knows about them. Number 4 element of this perfect storm is what the average college student is studying, which is nonsense. This is actually an actual college student schedule from some humanities or business major. They are studying aliens, apes, nature of the universe, philosophy, Swedish massage, history of rock music, inequality, psychology and law, statistical theory. Nothing practical in there. And even students who major in marketing, guys, I know this is really hard to believe, do not study digital marketing. I actually had a student, one of my students who was learning Facebook ads was studying engineering, and he was at a party, and one of the girls there, he said it was a marketing major, and my student said, oh, I'm studying Facebook ads, and the marketing student said, oh, my professor says that Facebook ads are just a fad. I'm serious, guys. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the numbers in a minute, but these are not fads. These are billion-dollar industries that are incredibly powerful. And students who study marketing are studying things like microeconomics, statistics of business and economics, regression analysis, calculus. I mean, nothing that has anything to do with the skill sets that employers actually need. And if they do study digital, it's maybe one elective. It's absolutely insane. In fact, I've had students who are in marketing programs or graduated from marketing programs telling me how much more they've learned in my course just getting practical advice on these skills versus stuff they learned in college. It's absolutely crazy. The result is the average applicant for a digital marketing position looks like this. And if you don't know this, it's from the movie Step Brothers. Go on YouTube and Google Step Brothers job interview scene, and you will laugh for about 3 or 4 minutes. It's very funny. But it's not funny in a way because, I mean, this is the state of the job market. It's bad for most of these folks. It's great for you because most people do not even know what search engine management is. They don't know anything about digital marketing, which means there is a low supply of skilled workers. And I have been seeing this for year after year after year. the opportunities continue to grow and the supply of skilled workers remains slow, partially thanks to the colleges which have not updated their curriculums in years. And all of this means thousands of difficult to fill open positions regardless of the economy. Sometimes there's fewer jobs, sometimes there's more jobs, but there are always tens of thousands of these jobs available. Now, I know this paradox. You need work experience to get the job, and you need the job to get work experience. This is not a problem because of this perfect storm. It's all about the skills. People are still very confused about the value of skills versus credentials or degrees. Now, in business, I'm just telling you guys, this is just the reality. Nobody cares about your degree. Liam Neeson didn't say, I have a certain set of credentials. He said, I have a certain set of skills, not a degree. Companies need people who get results and provide value. In this case, is managing ads. This is a message from Shim Park, who got a first entry-level job making $36K, then $42K, and then went way up into the 70Ks before she started her own agency. But it's funny here, she says, I feel everything is happening so fast, and it's crazy how I could get this job without getting my degree. She actually dropped out of college because she was clear she wasn't learning anything practical in school, and she got practical skills and built her career. So how do you get a job? Just be better than the competition. As I'm saying, there are few skilled workers. I try to really drill that into my students' heads so that they feel confident and understand that the failings of the educational system can be taken advantage of when you understand how it works. You understand that the colleges are pumping out bad applicants. You just have to be better than those applicants. I use this example from the movie Major League. It's another fun movie about the Cleveland Indians baseball team. In this scene, Wesley Snipes plays this very fast-running character who gets kicked out of training camp because he wasn't invited, which I feel is an analogy how a lot of my students feel. Like they think, oh, I don't have experience, I don't have a degree. I really feel like I'm not being taken seriously. But what does he do? He comes back into the camp and he outruns the other players. These two guys are sprinting on the right, and he's so fast that he actually comes up behind them and beats them. And then when the coaches see that, they say, get that guy a uniform. This is what it's like when you show up with the knowledge I teach, the knowledge and the skills the way I teach. You're able to really impress people with your knowledge. They don't care about your experience or your degree. It's even another example, like from Britain's Got Talent with Susan Boyle. Remember, I don't know if you guys have seen this. It was classic. You know, she shows up. All the judges are laughing at her. She doesn't look like she can sing. Then she sings and she has the most beautiful voice. And this is what it's like. If you don't have the degree or you don't have the experience, you may think you're going to, or maybe you even think that people are going to look at you with some judgment. But once they see you have the skills, guys, this is how people like Kishan, I tell you this, he came right out of high school, 19 years old, he's getting hired in the same way. Okay, you're impressing people with your skills and your knowledge. Now make no mistake, it's still competitive, but you have an opportunity to stand out and impress employers. So let's talk about some more in-demand skills. Now the primary one I've been talking about is paid search, Google Ads, PPC, SEM, it's the same thing. It's just different ways to say it. And this is again managing Google Ads, $230 billion annual ad spender. Whatever it is now, it's much higher at this point, but it's billions and billions of dollars. And that also includes Bing, much smaller than Google, but they also have their own search network that's very similar. And there's other search networks out there, and it all falls under the umbrella of the term paid search or PPC. Then there are Facebook and Instagram ads. Now I told you I'd mention Facebook later. Remember that professor or the student who said a professor said that Facebook ads are a fad. They are not. It's $150 billion annually, if not more at this point. And we call it paid social marketing. You guys know the power of Facebook. You know the power of Instagram. Billions of people using these platforms. Advertisers want to get in front of those people. It's not Google, but it's more than Bing, and it's obviously very powerful. And it's a similar skill set, but it's different. This is your advertise in Messenger and stories and the Facebook feed and Instagram feeds and Instagram stories, stuff like that. And then there's search engine optimization. As again, you've probably already seen some of my students who've gotten jobs in this aspect of digital marketing. And this is helping companies show up in the organic or free search results. So what does that mean? When you do a Google search and you see these ads on the top, those are paid ads, that's PPC. Companies are paying money to show up right now, and they're competing with each other to get the top position. Underneath that is what we call the organic results. And probably you guys are familiar with those because most people don't even click on these ads. This is really one of the most valuable real estate on Google because, again, this is kind of free, right? This company down here, CA, they're getting thousands of clicks of people who type in best web design Canada. And that is so valuable to companies. Let's say you're a dentist in Hawthorne, California. You know, there's these, this is called Google My Business listings, and these are free. But check out, you're the second result, and let's say you're the South Bay Dental Studio. What I want to tell you about SEO is that these guys didn't show up here by accident. It wasn't just like, oh, Google likes them and they're so lucky. They clearly had to hire an SEO company to do a lot of things to their website and off their website. And they probably paid those guys a lot of money to get them to this very coveted position where they're the second result in the organic results here, meaning they're getting a lot of traffic from people searching on Google for dentists. You know, my film school website, which I built in 2010 after studying SEO for a few months, back in the day, this is back like in 2011, I was getting 36,000 visitors a year from just a couple articles that I put up on my website. And it was all free traffic. I didn't pay for any of that. And now, I haven't updated the website in like years because it was a fun project a few years ago. I don't update it, but I still get about 630 new visitors a month for free, which is kind of amazing, guys, with SEO and the internet. Imagine meeting 630 new people a month. I mean, it's in real life. It would be overwhelming, but these numbers and the numbers of people you can reach, you know, the number of people who I've reached with my course and my YouTube channel, it blows my mind. Thinking of, you know, the power of reaching even just one person. With SEO and PPC, you can help businesses reach these huge numbers of people. And companies will pay big to get this ongoing free traffic. Think of how valuable a customer is for a company. You know, I once worked at a company that was paying $40,000 a month for SEO. Now, this was a company that had very high profit margins, so it was worth it to them. I actually helped them get away from that company and pay a lot less for it. But the point is, SEO agencies and SEO it's a high income skill. You know, freelancers make about $68 an hour. SEO agencies charge about double that, $134. The point is, again, this is a field where you can make very high hourly wages or a salary, and it, you know, by helping companies get this free traffic to their websites. So SEO, what does it actually involve? It is writing an analysis and strategy. There's also a technical component that has to do with making changes to the client website, and Google rewards these websites with higher rankings and search results for desired keywords. And you're also going to be organically building links to client sites so it appears to be more popular and credible to Google. Now, there's no like rule and law. SEO is like, it's like anything in marketing. You do the best that you can, and you have to you know, keep testing and optimizing for the best results. And that's why it's such an exciting field. There's a lot of experimentation, there's a lot of problem solving, and it's also a field my students really enjoy working in. So let's talk about entry-level jobs. I know that's what you guys are thinking about. Like, okay, well, how do I get into this field when I don't really know that much? This is 100% total, okay? 10% of the entry-level jobs require no knowledge at all. They will train you from the ground up, literally with knowing nothing. But that's only 10% of the jobs, not that many. 70%, the vast majority, is what I call key minimal experience. This is what I'm going to be talking about for the rest of this presentation and what I teach my students. It's basically, how can you get enough experience and knowledge to impress an employer to the point where they want to take a chance on you and you stand out from the competition. And 20% want you to have actual real experience where it's like set in stone, like you have to have 3 years of experience, but that's only 20% of the jobs. Most of the jobs, and you'll see my students have gotten, are jobs where they didn't have all the qualifications, but they were still able to get hired. So let's decipher some job postings with our knowledge of the industry's needs. Yeah, I'm gonna pause. Down. Here is how to decipher a job posting. This job posting says Junior Digital Marketing Account Manager. It says quickly learn about new industries and advertising platforms, and you may be expected to attain Google certification. So first of all, whenever you see the word junior, that means you're going to be trained. This is one of those 10% jobs where you really don't have to have much experience at all. quickly learn means there's going to be training, and expected to attain Google certification means you can stand out by getting certified, which is something I teach in the course, and it's not hard to do. The job hunt is like dating, okay? Employers are going to throw out a wish list with confusing and mismatching signals. Job hunters don't understand the signals, so they show up unprepared. And that's what I teach my students to do, is to understand what these signals are so they can actually fit the profile of what the employer is looking for. Here's another one. Search engine optimization specialist. Now, this is something kind of crazy. It says 0 to 5 years of work experience. That's crazy. Can you imagine 0 to 5 years of work experience in any other field, like being in law enforcement and medicine? It's a huge difference in the person's level of competency. But when you see this kind of huge range like that, it means they're looking for anybody with a clue. It means that they want someone with experience, but they're open to someone who doesn't have experience. And of course, they're adding things like solid communicator, fun, positive attitude. That's talking about the culture. This is the type of job that my students are able to get. Here's another one, assistant manager paid search. This was exciting because this is at Adidas, which is a giant multi-billion-dollar company. I see these types of things all the time. You'll be very surprised that a huge multinational corporation will have entry-level positions like this. Now, this also says 1 to 3 years of hands-on experience. That's another very big gap in experience, meaning we want someone with 3 years, but we're open to somebody with 1. The Google Ads certification, which, as I said, I teach it in the course, and it's something free that anybody can get. When you see this on a job posting that it's preferred, that is another indication this is a very entry-level position, because every pro search engine manager has Google Ads certification. Everybody has it. So it's like an ad for a truck driver saying, hey, license preferred. What it means, if you decipher it, is that when a posting says certification preferred, or that it's a bonus, it means that there's a very low bar, because it should say required. Required. What I'm trying to say is that they don't say it's required because they're open and they're looking for people who have basic knowledge. Here's a great example. Mithila, who is a wonderful student of mine, wrote me this email. I'm beyond excited to share. I received my first full-time offer, $50K, as a paid media specialist in Long Island. I had interviewers tell me, wow, you definitely know how to speak the language. Speaking to you is a breath of fresh air. And people with more experience than you don't even know what they're talking about. She shared things she learned from my course. I teach my students to speak the language of digital marketing and hiring managers. And no matter what happens, I want you to understand, guys, again, this field, a field like this that is, it's merit-based, it's ever-evolving. There are people in the field who know less than you, is what I'm trying to get you to see, is that you as you go through this course and as you teach yourself things, you end up knowing a lot more than the other candidates that are applying for jobs. And I always tell my students to ignore years experience, going back to that major league example, okay? Because these numbers are arbitrary and often cooked up by human resources department. You know, the human resources department at a company usually has no knowledge about technical jobs. They don't know what's actually required to get the job done. And like I said, I'm gonna go back to this example here, 0 to 5 years. That's so crazy. But I see this type of thing all the time. It's like, so yeah, okay, I have 0 years of experience, apply. Don't take it too seriously. Remember, nothing in a job posting is set in stone. It's just a wish list. And plus, if you apply to a job you don't think you're qualified for, you may get another position. This has happened to me. I applied for a job once where it was a management position. They wanted like 5 years experience. I only had 2 years experience, and they ended up offering me a lower position. Nearly all my students got jobs that required 1 to 3 years of experience or even 5 years of experience, and they often had 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months of experience. Years required isn't a law. Poor Billy, he threw his life away by applying for a job without enough experience. So that's not what happens. You don't get put in jail for applying for a job where you don't have the year requirement met. I try to loosen up my students, and even if you're just watching this and you're feeling maybe a little bit discouraged in your job search, apply. Always apply. You know, these job requirements are not set in stone. It's not a law. Here's an interesting one. Qualified candidate will have 3 to 5 years of digital marketing experience. And then at the bottom it says previous experience with SEO and SEM. Now, if you have 3 to 5 years of digital marketing experience, wouldn't you have previous experience? I just like to point these little inconsistencies out so that you really understand that this is not like a legal document. You know, it's just like someone in HR throws together a bunch of things, and that you should feel very confident applying, even if you don't fit everything on the list here. Here's another one. This is interesting. This is digital marketing specialist, but if you read the description, it looks like it's a little bit more of a customer service or sales position. And it's got 97 applicants because people are starting to recognize the word digital marketing. But if you go over here to the same company, it says PPC specialist. You can see they have no applicants and a big salary range because most people don't know what PPC is. And it says here, ability to create Google ad campaign through our software. Right there, you know, this is a perfect op for someone who can speak the language. And I think it also says somewhere on here that Spanish, excuse me, guys. I think it even says on here, yeah, Spanish literacy is a plus, but again, not a requirement. But remember, this one had fewer applicants because this is a very technical name here. And you will see on certain jobs more applicants if it's remote or if it looks like a good opportunity. And again, a lot of those applicants, a lot of what I show in my walkthrough videos on YouTube is just how unqualified the people applying are. They're just applying because it's got a buzzword in the title. But with PPC specialist, nobody knows what that is. You can see there weren't many applicants for that position. But when you see a job with many applicants that's still open after 3 weeks, it means they can't find anyone who knows what's up. And now it says 2 to 3 years of experience, and then it says 1 to 2 years of experience. And basically what they're saying is, just know something, please. We want anyone who knows anything. And that's how this is possible, going back to Cayenne again, who was just 20 years old when he got this job. And I have so many examples, but I like to use Cayenne because, you know, I followed up with him over the years, and he started out in this entry-level position, and then over the years he grew and grew. And he didn't want me to give the exact amount of money he's making, but he did say it's okay to say that the average high school grad without a degree makes $35K a year, and he makes more than twice that. You know, he just, again, this is a long-term goal, but it's very exciting to see what can happen for even someone without a college degree if they keep applying themselves and providing value to companies. This is Carlos, and he's also since moved up in his career, but I wanted to share the first email he sent me where it said, your course changed my life, and he said all the other new hires had marketing degrees, and what I offer thanks to the course's practical experience. But look at this, 700 applicants, and I've seen this happen many times, guys, where there's hundreds of applicants for a position, and some people get discouraged, and I say, don't be discouraged, be encouraged, because it means that the people hiring are drowning in applications, and you are going to be the person that they want to hire, and that's what happened with Carlos. This is the process and the path. This is Nick Battle, who's now one of my coaches. He was making $12 an hour working at Metro PCS. He got an SEO internship, then got an agency job for $50K, which changed his life. He came from a place where he had very few opportunities. And since then, he's moved on and moved on to other agencies and is making close to 6 figures and has worked with Netflix and other really large brands. And it's what I call skill security versus job security, guys. Job security doesn't exist anymore. We all know that these days, you know, companies are not really loyal to people like they used to be. But with a skill set, you always have an option. And everyone is a free agent, and your skills create your value. I've had students, I'll show an example later in the presentation where it's like, yeah, if, let's say you did happen to lose a job, you can always get another job in this field. And once you have even 6 months of experience, you can begin leveraging up, looking for new opportunities, or working on a raise. You are a free agent, guys. You have so many options. With these skills, recruiters will come after you instead of you chasing them. This is one of my students who just had 1 month of experience, and you can see they blurred out the names, but they were getting emails in their inbox, you know, from recruiters who needed to fill positions. Like I said in the very beginning of the presentation, recruiters are very frustrated because they can't find people that have this skill set. So how do you learn these skills? How do you actually learn them? In my case, from 2010 to 11, I read blog posts, I watched YouTube videos, I built websites, and I went through a lot of trial and error, 10 to 14 hours a day. I mean, I I still remember my girlfriend back then wanted to go out on a Friday night, and I was so obsessed with this. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not coming. I can't come out, honey. I gotta finish posting this blog post, because I was just so obsessed with it. And it was a lot of work. I had fun learning, but it was a lot of trial and error. And I didn't even know that there were jobs that were available, you know. Somehow, as I told you, I took the stuff I learned and I ended up getting that interview and getting hired. And there are tons of free videos on YouTube, blog articles on SEO, Google Ads, Facebook ads, email marketing. You're welcome to check out as many resources as you want. In my personal opinion, though, it is information overload, okay? And you don't know the quality of information you get. And what I like to say is that there's all this free information on the internet, but there's still thousands of open jobs, meaning people aren't like taking all that free information and using it to get these jobs. So in my mind, what that means is that it is not actionable, all of this free information. And that is one of the main reasons why I created the Digital Marketing Career Blueprint. This is my training. It's a step-by-step guide to getting your first entry-level position with proven results, as you've seen. It speeds up your process, and you get support from an industry expert, from myself, from my coaches, from a very established and supportive community, and it's with over 40 hours of very practical training. I call it Goldilocks trainings. Not too hot, not too cold. Some programs provide too much analysis and conceptual data in theory, hundreds of hours of just too much information. Some courses are too little practical information. They're very thin. My course is designed to give just the right amount of information for you to get your first job, or gig, as I like to call it. And this is the course strategy. This is why the course is unique. This is inside the members area. I'm going to walk you through the entire strategy and what's available in the course. Section 1 is what I call industry orientation. This is going to orient you to a career, more on jobs and how the skills correlate. And no school does this. I think it's funny. I've been to a lot of freshman orientations. It's so funny. They'll orient you to like, where is the cafeteria, but they don't orient you to your actual career and your future and how to make money. So in this section, this is what we will be doing. This is all taught from a hiring perspective. The goal of the course is to get you your first job, first gig. So you're going to learn more in your first actual experience on your first job than in a classroom. So my goal is to give you just enough to get that first job so that you can then learn as an employee in a real agency rather than learning theory. And so everything I'm teaching is an incredibly practical approach. Number 1, we start with the powerful mindset foundations, because I know diving into a new field can be daunting. It can be scary. It's the same for everybody. It was the same for me. It was the same for every student you've seen have success. So I'm going to give you a powerful framework for you to enjoy the process and stay in action. I give you a mind map to visualize the process and to keep you engaged from your first day of the course to when you get your first client or your job. Module 2 is called Digital Marketing in Plain English. And this is a fun and engaging crash course in digital marketing to make it accessible and understandable to anyone. It's a big picture context of how this all ends up making money for companies, and then therefore why they want to pay you a good salary. And since I learned this stuff after spending years, I'd say in art school, but I'm artistic, I'm creative, I love movies. I try to make sure it's not boring. I use a lot of movie analogies. And again, if I didn't find this stuff interesting, I couldn't teach it. So I get a lot of feedback that people enjoy the way I teach and enjoy, how I explain digital marketing. Module 3, training for a career, not a degree. The end goal is a job in the field, not a certificate. Okay, you need to understand more about what these jobs entail. And employers, I mentioned this later in the presentation, don't care about course certificates at all. Here's why I don't give one. They care about, do you know what the job requires? So I'll walk you through job posting and explain in more detail the actual tasks involved in digital marketing without overwhelming you. Gives you a practical context so it isn't theoretical like in school. And also have some interviews, I forgot to mention it here, interviews with students who are working in the field, which is also really amazing. Students were generous enough to talk about what their jobs are like now that they're working in the field. Section 2, the in-demand skills. Now this is well, I don't know, everything in the course is like say the meat of the course, but this is really it, because these are the skills. Google ads, SEO, analytics, Facebook ads, Instagram ads in plain English. We want to get you skilled up quickly. These are the things employers want to see. And there's more information in here in a few hours than in the typical degree program. Module 4, the website. So a website isn't just a place to watch cat videos or order new shoes. It is a portal into a completely new world of commerce and communication. So you're going to learn to relate to websites as a digital marketer, and you'll begin to see the web in an entirely new way. This is the foundation for all the other modules. Module 5. This is, I would say, the heart of the course, because most students get jobs in paid search with Google Ads because of this section. And this is about demystifying Google's 230 or $250 billion plus, it's a lot of money, ad platform. And it's not that hard, but it takes time and focus. So I teach Google Ads differently than anyone else on the web, not only by making it fun and understandable, but also by teaching it from an industry perspective, not a classroom perspective. I'm teaching you in such a way that when you show up for the job interview, the people that you're talking to are going to be like, this person is going to be a good fit at our company. They're going to know how to service our clients and make sure that their accounts perform well. I show you how to actually do the job, how to properly set up accounts, and how to be able to, in many cases, instantly save companies money. I provide a 14-point checklist for setting up and optimizing accounts, and a powerful project template that my students use to instantly communicate their value to employers without much experience. This project template alone is incredibly powerful and has gotten many of my students jobs. And this is reviewed by me and my coaches and alumni. You actually get feedback, mostly from my coaches, who, again, these industry professionals who are working in the field, and it's just incredible to get that kind of actual feedback from people working in the field. You don't get that in a marketing degree program. Many of my students are now managing millions of dollars in ad spend, but they started with this section and built their experience up. This is from my student Fabian, who was working in a factory when he found the course. And as he said here, over the past 3.5 years, I've grown so much, managing from $600,000 to $1.7 million in advertising budgets. I never would have thought I'd be in a place like this. You start small, guys, with realistic expectations, with very small victories, and you can get up to this point over time. Module 6, analytics and tracking. Analytics is its own discipline within digital marketing. This is the process of observing and measuring visitor behavior on websites. And it's kind of crazy because every website you visit has tools in place to track what you were doing, where you were clicking, what you're going to learn to do the same thing. There's been a lot of talk about this lately in terms of privacy, which has also created new challenges for digital marketers, which has, of course, made these jobs even more valuable. So when starting out, you don't need to know every aspect of analytics because there's a lot. It can be, again, I'm teaching you guys just enough to make you a little bit dangerous, to make you hireable, and then you're going to just keep learning more and more. So you don't need to know everything about analytics, just the basics, which is what I teach in this section. And this is a great example. Kayla, who's a wonderful person, actually still participates in my community and answers a lot of questions. She started making $40K, $55K. Now you can see she got up to $90K, and this message was from a few years ago. So she is well into the six-figure area. But as you can see on her title, Google Analytics Specialist, Analytics Implementation Specialist. So she had a background, actually, she was like a biochemist major, very smart person, and she likes analysis. So she was able to, choose to specialize in analytics, and it's been very good for her. So there's so many options when you have these skills. Mod 7, SEO. Search engine optimization. This is the second most common skill set that lands many of my students their dream jobs. SEO is the process of modifying and changing websites so that they appear higher in Google's organic search rankings, like we discussed, because a simple change to a website can mean the difference between 0 visitors and hundreds or even thousands of visitors. Now this section is called All the SEO You Need to Know, because SEO is one of those disciplines that has so many details and variables you could literally spend years studying it and discover new things. You don't need to know all those things, especially when starting out. I teach you just what you need to know to feel confident in your skills and impress employers. I don't want to try to teach you all that. Some courses might say, yeah, we got 200 hours of videos. Guys, you're going to learn more on the job. Plus, each agency and company has their own particular protocol and way of doing things. I'm going to teach you, the most ubiquitous thing, the most powerful thing that will get you in the door at any agency, and from there, you will learn more. because many of my students have gone on to surpass even my knowledge and work with Fortune 500 companies, and they all got started with this section. This is Angel Nieves, who is working, I think he was making 40K to 75K, all over 6 figures, working in SEO. Ivy, who I'm going to talk about later, my SEO coach, works at Crate and Barrel. There's a lot of opportunities in SEO. Mod 8, Facebook ads and social. Facebook ads is the next most powerful advertising platform after Google, as I had mentioned. And this isn't just about posting and hoping to get likes. This is about Facebook's powerful targeting options and data acquisition tools, which are a little controversial. You may have heard about them in the news. In fact, there have been restrictions put on Facebook that, again, make this job even more valuable, because now it's even a little bit more of a challenge for advertisers to reach the people they need to reach. But there's still billions of people on Facebook every day, billions of dollars being spent. Companies need someone to help manage that advertising. And it provides advertisers with incredible abilities to find the right customer at reasonable costs. And these are what we call paid social marketing jobs. And again, all these things fit together. You know, this is Keyshawn, who I've talked about a few times. His most recent position now, he says, they started me out at 80, but I negotiated to 86, and I'm doing Facebook ads now. So he started out with paid search Google ads. Now he's moving into Facebook ads. It's just, again, there's so many different opportunities to pivot between these skill sets. So you're going to learn how to properly set up Facebook and Instagram campaigns to generate leads and sales for businesses, and generate leads, email marketing. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide, actually, because these are both huge skill sets that add so much value to my students' resumes. Email marketing and funnels, this is what I was talking about a second ago. This could be a completely independent course, as it teaches the model and flow by which all online businesses gain new prospects and turn them into customers. You're going to learn how to set up web pages that collect email addresses and how to track conversions for paid ad campaigns, which ties back into section 5. Marketing strategy, this is not taught in business school or marketing programs, but every major company uses this, and it makes you a very, very valuable job candidate. Section 3. So now you've learned the skills. Now you're going to generate experience. So you don't have experience? Fine. Generate it. Even $3,000 online certification courses or master's programs neglect the key component about how to get practical experience to instantly communicate value to employers. Is what we're going to be doing here. Module 10, generate experience. Again, not just theory. We're going to create the experience that will help you get the job and do the job. This is a powerful, proven process of taking the skills that you learned and creating your own actual hands-on experience, building a website, doing SEO, running a small but powerful paid search campaign, analytics, and email marketing. When you actually get your hands on these things and do them, it is empowering, it is fun, it is creative, and it is very confidence building. You'll feel very confident, you'll be excited, and you know that you have value to offer employers when you're applying to these jobs.
Alexa,
I also encourage my students and guide you on how to get your hands on small business accounts to work on. Thousands of my students have done this. Even if you don't think you know anyone with a small business, you would be very, very surprised. This is a transformative process, guys. This is one of the reasons why I'm still doing this for so many years, you know. I love helping people transform their lives from before to after, you know. Skills plus hands-on experience equals you stand out, you grow, you begin to really absorb this stuff, and it becomes exciting, it becomes inspiring, you become creative, I can't explain it. People get very, very excited when they're learning these skills again, because it's not just like it's not dry skills you're learning. You're actually transforming yourself as you learn and grow. You know, this is the transformation from working as a cook and a cashier to a paid search specialist with no bachelor's degree. I mean, I have so many stories like this. I like Samantha's story because she was a cook and delivery driver, and she was working at Trader Joe's when she took the course. And then she moved on to be a paid search specialist. And this screenshot is from a little while ago, but actually, wow, it's from back in 2019. But I just love the transformational process. That's why if you go to my YouTube channel, by the way, go to youtube.com/Seth Jared, SETHJARED. I'm going to mention that at the end of the presentation. You're going to see hundreds of stories like this where people go from working in very unfulfilling jobs to having this kind of a transformation. And you can see it's not just, it is about the money, of course, but it's also about the changes that happen in a person's life as they learn these things. And that takes us to section 4, starting your career. And this is assembling, like Avengers Assemble, assembling everything you learned and experienced into a powerful presentation of yourself, i.e. your resume, your LinkedIn, and your portfolio. So module 12, beating the experience paradox. This is important to talk about. This is a strategy that's helped thousands of people actually get jobs, because you know the problem, guys. You want an entry-level job, but they say they want years of experience. So how do you get the experience without having the job? This simple but powerful approach requires a little getting used to, as it goes against a lot of what most of us have been taught in school, but it is very powerful and effective. Module 13, getting certified. In this section, I explain why the only certifications that really matter when it comes to getting a digital marketing job. Hint, they are free and they are not from completing a course. Again, I don't offer a certificate of completion for my course because those are meaningless to employers. This whole process is about making you the most powerful applicant, and this certification will make you the most powerful applicant. Then module 14, client accounts. In this section, I provide real-world examples of working with client accounts, again, so it isn't just theory. I use smaller accounts in my examples, which you can relate to, as these are the kinds of accounts that every student begins with before they go on to manage millions like Nick Bell or William Bravo or Fabian, the example I showed you earlier. I got to tell you guys, managing a small account with a $100 ad spend or $1,000 ad spend is an amazing, powerful, and valuable experience, and that's where everybody started out. And this is about how to approach a client account and feel comfortable in the working world. As soon as someone spends $1, you have now left the world of theory in the classroom and are in the real world. Module 15, what employers want. Now, have you ever thought about what an employer wants? Most applicants have not. I'm going to teach you how to actually think like a hiring manager and how to present yourself in a compelling way that makes them want to hire you. Now, the bar is lower than in other fields, as I've been talking about, how there's a low supply of skilled applicants, but you still have to jump over that bar, and this module shows you how to do that. Mod 16, I call it landing the gig resume to interview. This is such an important and dense part of the course. There's so much information in here. There is a resume template and a cover letter template, and I show you exactly how to put together applications that get responses even with modest experience. You're going to take all that experience you generated in the previous part of the course and put it on your resume. And as Josue here says, the biggest game changer is assistance with resumes and learning what to look for in regards to open positions. And he's of course also including the template and all the stuff I teach in this section. The secret to crushing interviews, and we talk so much about interviews. We have an interview coach in this section who recorded a bunch of great lessons. It isn't rigidly memorizing a bunch of stock answers. It's the authentic enthusiasm and knowledge/experience to organically stand out from the other applicants. And this is how you see my students get jobs again and again. And I encourage you, if you watch interviews with my students, you will see that enthusiasm come through many times when they're actually being interviewed. And you can see, this is what inspires people to want to work with you and want to hire you. Module 17, Job Search Masterclass. Now, this is where everything comes together. I talk about real job postings and how to apply, how to find these jobs on the job sites, how to find hidden jobs directly with agencies, and how to decode the job posting language and what employers really mean, kind of like what I did in the presentation here, but in much more detail. Now, there's a hint. There's a reason so many of my students have gotten jobs that said 3 years experience required. And I've heard from students of other programs, even with master's degrees, who have been left out in the cold by their teachers. With me, you get the entire guide and support from start to end. We don't leave anything out. It's from how to learn the skills, how to generate experience, and how to actually put together that resume and do the interview to get the job. Unfortunately, I get a lot of emails like this. It says, I went to get an entry-level job in digital marketing. I've taken this other program by Udacity. Can you please provide me suggestions on what I should do? And I said, this is crazy. Why isn't part of the course how to actually do the resume and the interviews and get the job? We include that in our training. There's also a Facebook group, which is such a wonderful thing. We used to have a forum, but now all the communication is in the Facebook group. I didn't actually create this group. A student did, which is, I think, a wonderful thing because there's just so much participation from the students. But now I actually manage the group and the students support each other. This is a private members-only group only for members of the course. And this is an example, just in the past we had when people get a job, there's so much support and celebration. You can see all the likes and the comments. Just really wonderful, but not just when people get the job. Also, if people have problems, if people are struggling, if people are feeling discouraged, or maybe they're lacking some confidence. People support and encourage each other. People answer, if a student is further ahead in their career, they often come back to answer questions for the newer students. It's really inspiring, and it's a wonderful, wonderful community. Sometimes alumni will come back when they have a job opening at their agency and post the job right in the Facebook group. So it's a really great, professional, and supportive community. There is also a LinkedIn thread. There was one in the forum. Now I think we've actually moved it over to the Facebook group. But basically, you get an instant network on LinkedIn. I know a lot of folks taking the course don't have a LinkedIn at all. And it's really empowering to have suddenly you connect with everyone who's been in the course, who's taken the course, and you can then have dozens of connections in your LinkedIn profile and LinkedIn network. It's very, very powerful. And students have met in real life. This also inspires me. These students met in New York City. This is, I mentioned before, there's Keishon on the right. There's Nick, my PPC coach, and there's Rainer, another one of my students. And it's just super inspiring when students get together and meet in real life. There's also bi-weekly coaching calls. And this is support for my successful alumni coaches. And you can ask questions about everything from the course material to applying, interviews, and in-depth SAO, PPC feedback. It's really amazing. I'm excited that I get to provide this level of support for people. You can actually, talk in real time with industry professionals like my coaches, and also get the support of your fellow students. And these are a couple of my coaches right now. Again, I've had a lot of coaches over the years. They're all working professionals, so they do this as time allows. Nick Battle, PPC coach, again, managed Netflix and a lot of huge brands and worked his way up over the years. And Ivy, working at Crate & Barrel, a multi-billion-dollar company doing SEO. And they're just really wonderful people, and it's, again, a really supportive community. So nobody feels alone. Everybody feels very supported. And again, you're getting to network with people working in the industry, which is some people in a marketing program in a big, expensive university never really get to do. So how much should this cost? Here's Jeremy, who went from working minimum wage to going $20 an hour, now making between 60 and 80K. Here's a great example, Andrew. Modest beginnings for Andrew. He was only making $36,000 a year, but that was still more than he made at Target. But you can see over a period of a few years, he went from making $12 an hour at Target to $18 an hour at agency, and now is making about $75,000 a year. And that's just the very, very beginning of his career. So let's just think about this in terms of lifetime value. Let's use Andrew as an example. He was making $12 an hour, which is like $25,000 a year. Now he's making $75,000, and he's going to make more than that as he moves higher in his career. But let's just say, conservatively, that's an extra $50,000 a year. And let's say, because he's in his mid-20s, let's say he works for 40 years. That's an extra $2 million in lifetime earnings.
Alexa,
so people,
stop.
This skill set can lead to millions of dollars in earnings over your lifetime. I want you to think about things from that perspective, from that long-term perspective, to understand the value. And understand that terrible education is terribly expensive. As you guys probably know, I'm very critical of higher education. I think it's overpriced and doesn't deliver any value. A college degree now can cost, honestly, this is being generous, $50,000. I've seen college degrees going now for $70,000 or $80,000 a year. Students don't learn anything practical. Trade school, which is more practical, but it's still $10,000 to $15,000. A boot camp can be $10,000 to $30,000. College certificate programs, $5,000. And other online courses that I've seen about the same topic I'm teaching usually cost between $1,000 and $3,000. And you won't even see one testimonial like this. Here's Raymond, who used to be an auto mechanic, and he was saying, "My girlfriend thanks you since I no longer smell like oil." He started out making between 50 and 60K, and he's still working as an SEO manager in this field. And this is, again, with all my testimonials, I welcome you to go to LinkedIn, look everybody up. You're going to see people are still working in the field, and they're more than happy to write back to you. So it's authentic, it's transparent, and most other programs don't even have one testimonial like this. I've seen like Udacity's program, they got all these, one quote, like great course, and it's like Joe F. There's no way to actually identify people like we do over here. So you can see that it works. And career coaches, you could hire a professional career coach, and they could cost you $1,000 an hour just to help with a resume without teaching you any new skills or a blueprint on how to transition into the field. So you're getting feedback from me, which is worth $500 to $1,000 an hour, as if I were to hire myself out as a career coach. You're getting feedback from my coaches, professionals managing huge accounts That's worth at least $100 to $350 an hour. You're getting a pre-built community, so you never feel like you're alone on this journey. And, you know, you have to ask yourself, how much is it worth to increase your lifetime earnings by that much? I mean, $15,000 would be a fair price. I've had students tell me that because that's about the same price at the trade school. And over 40 years, it's like $375 a year. Over time, it's very, very little. So that would be a very, very fair price to pay for the millions of dollars in extra earnings you're going to have as you increase your value and increase your income and earning potential. But I don't even charge $5,000. Like those worthless certification programs you'll see advertised online, I don't even charge $2,000 or $399 a month like many competing online programs. And I'm even charging less than some people who have imitated and actually copied my course out there. Digital Marketing Career Blueprint is only $797, and that gives you unlimited access with no time limit. Or you can do the payment plan, which is 3 payments of $297. I've always kept my training affordable so I can help people from all walks of life get results like this. This is an email from a while ago. It was during COVID from Jamaris, where he said, I got laid off from my remote agency position due to COVID, but instead of worrying about how to pay my bills and take care of my wife and 2 kids, I applied what I learned from my course 2 years ago. In a month, he got a full-time remote position and want to thank me for creating this course. I'm not sure what I would be doing right now. So I was very excited to get this message. And again, it's one of the reasons, you know, there's a lot of heart, I feel, and it's one of the reasons I keep the course affordable. So $797, just to give you some perspective, it's less than an iPhone, a PS5, and textbooks in college. Say a PS5 with a couple of games and a textbooks in college. The typical student entry-level salary I've mentioned is $35,000 on the very low end to about $50,000 or even $60,000. I saw Tito and some other students have gotten on the high end. So the course cost is like 1 to 2% of 1 year's salary. Remember, you're going to be making this higher level of income for the rest of your life, the rest of your career. Now, I do not use false scarcity. This is where, but you guys should just know this. If you watch webinars and they tell you to act now or you're going to miss out on incredible savings, it's usually made up. It's usually something automated. And I don't like doing that, okay? I don't want to rush you into this decision. If you'd like, I want you to research if you feel compelled to do so. You can go online, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Seth Jared, SETHJARED, or Instagram, same name, the Seth Jared, or just Google Seth, SETHJARED course. You will find lots of information about me, testimonials, reviews. I think there's some Reddit threads about it. Go ahead, do your research, look into digital marketing. I'd rather you join when you're ready and your mindset is 100% on board. That is another reason my students get such great results, because I don't hype people up and try to get them to just like sign up without thinking. I want you to be prepared when you come into the course. I do encourage you to take action now versus later, because a lot is happening in the world and the demand for these skills is growing now. Now let's talk about the refund policy, which I'm sure a lot of you have been wondering about. This is what I call a some questions asked 30-day money-back guarantee. And I call it the be cool and fair policy. Just be cool. Basically, I want you to be successful, guys. That's why I made this program. I want you to join when you're ready to learn and take action. This is not going to get you a job in like 2 weeks or make a ton of money in like a month. Like I said, it takes a few months to get these results. But the refund policy is for you to feel secure that you are getting quality information. It is not an excuse to browse the whole course like a book or say, oh, I didn't get a job in 3 days, so it's a scam. That's not the type of attitude I'm looking for. So if you go through less than 25% of the material and you think, you know what, this isn't for me, I don't like digital marketing, I don't like the way you teach, it's just, I've changed my mind, it's cool. I don't make you jump through any hoops. I'm just gonna ask you, what's the issue, how can I support you? And if a person is like, hey, it's just not for me, give them their money back, no problem. 90% of the time, though, a student is feeling overwhelmed and just needs a little encouragement. Either way, I'm here to support you. The Facebook community is here to support you. The coaches there support you. And that's why I call it some questions asked. Like, I want to know what's going on. And, you know, and then I make it easy for you if that's really the case. This is get rich slowly. I cannot emphasize that enough. This is a proven process of getting a new skill set and providing value so you can start a new career path. It takes dedication, hard work, humility, enthusiasm, and a willingness to learn. It's not make $10,000 in 30 days, which is BS, because that never works for anyone. If you put in the time and effort and follow through, amazing things are possible. To take control of your financial future and begin your new career path, go to digitalcareerblueprint.com/level up, or you can click the button below this video now to go to the sales page and sign up and get started. And I'm very excited to welcome you into the course and into your new career path. And now I'm going to answer some what I think are frequently asked questions you might be wondering yourself. First is, how long does the course take? It's about 40 hours of videos and 5 to 15 hours spent taking action. 4 seasons of Stranger Things is about 35 hours of binge watching. And I think I've done that. I've binge watched a lot of Netflix shows in my day. So it is possible to consume all this content. Some people binge the course in a few weeks. Other people do an hour a day for months. And by the way, guys, I used to say that the course was 14 hours because when I started in 2017, it was. We've had to add so much material because the industry has changed a lot. And also we want to just keep making things better for our students. So yeah, it's a lot of information, but again, it's the same as if you watch Stranger Things. And Stranger Things is an awesome TV show, but I think if you had to choose between starting a whole new career that's going to change your life and make you more money and watching 11 get all angry and levitate things, I would say wait to watch Stranger Things and watch this instead. You get out what you put in, okay? Everyone has their own pace. It's not a race. Some people get results very quickly or get into the course and just binge it 8 hours a day. Other people have full-time jobs, or you're a student and you can only do a little bit at a time. Doesn't matter. Slow and steady can win the race just as well. So I answer every email that I get, and me or one of my coaches, just my coaches now, review all the assignments because it's just too much. I can't review all the assignments and answer all the emails and do the other businesses I work on. This, I put it in here because this is Dominic, who is a student of mine who is in the UK, and I answered, I think, 22, 12, 20, he sent me like 50 or 60 emails. And at the time, I had extra time, so I answered. I tell my students, don't send me 100 emails. That's too much. Most people don't. You're welcome to email me, but I just wanted to illustrate the fact that I am very hands-on, and me and my students in the community are very available if you reach out for help and support.
Alexa,
I said the same thing with Amity here. I asked her if she could have permission to do this. Yeah, she sent me also about 100, maybe 50 or 100 emails. So I said, don't email me 10 times a day. Those who reach out for help get feedback on their assignments do get results faster. Just use your judgment, guys. You understand. You understand that me and my coaches, we have many students to deal with. But we love helping and supporting people. Just understand this is a self-paced program that requires you to be responsible and, be responsible for your time management. And, you're not sitting in a classroom with people quizzing you every 5 minutes. You're adults. I trust you. And that's how this thing has worked so well for so many years. And how long to get a job? Of course, that's a very important question. So people who follow all the instructions usually start getting interviews within a month of finishing the course. I'm not saying a month of getting the course because it can take 1 to 6 months, the entire process. Okay, depends on which jobs they've applied to, how they vibe with the companies that they interview for. It's like trying to find a relationship. So from the time you get the course, it can take people anywhere from a couple of weeks, like I said, because they binge watch the material, or it can take like 1 or 2 months to get to the point where you've done all the experience and you have this new resume. Once you start applying for jobs, people are usually start getting interviews within that first month. Once you start interviewing, again, there's other factors. Some people have to work on their interview skills. Some people get like 10 interviews and that's fantastic, but some of them don't have the interpersonal skills. And over time, as they do more interviews, they get more comfortable, more relaxed, and then usually it takes them, some people it takes a few months, 4 months, some people it takes 2 months. It varies from person to person. But I usually tell people give yourself about 6 months. maximum, and if it happens sooner, that's even better. Here's Kyan. He got an in-house job working for a private company, and this is this student whose name I forget how to pronounce, but he worked at an agency. You're going to see there's a mixture between, you can either get a job, students working for a private company, or an agency where you have multiple clients. This is interesting too. Like, a lot of students will come into the course and leave the course and come back to the course. This student got the course at the end of 2019, studied for a couple of months. Then he got, sidetracked because of all sorts of personal things and the pandemic and all that. I know it's a long time ago. And then he finally got back to it, and he got a job back in December. If you watch my interviews on YouTube, you'll hear this a lot. Like, sometimes people got the course, they really didn't focus on it, they let it sit there. Then as soon as they start focusing, they get results. So again, guys, not realistic is you'll make $10,000 a month in 30 days. Realistic is 3 years of hustle, growth, and patience. Typical timeline, as you've seen in my testimonials, they said 1 to 6 months to get an entry-level job. After 6 months to 1 year in an entry-level job, you can level up to 60K. After 1 to 2 years in 60K job, you can level up to 70, 80K. And after 2 to 4 years in the field, as I said, some students get there quicker than others, you can make it up to 100K. I put 3 to 4 years, but it could be 2 to 4 years, depending on the student. But after a few years in this field, I'm saying you could be up at the 6-figure level. Can I really do this with no experience? Yes, you can. That's why you've seen so many other people who've done it. This is inspiration grounded in reality. Don't spend your last dollar on the course. That's another thing. Don't join with a desperate mindset, expecting, I've repeated it, I think, too many times, this 10K in 30 days thing. But, I see there still are a lot of programs out there like that. I want you to come in when you're grounded and relaxed, and you can take the time to really absorb this information and enjoy learning. Every testimonial is someone just like you who had no experience in digital marketing. They worked hard. They learned to add value to companies and businesses. A real world example, my first $100,000 job, my first day there, they were spending $60,000 a month on Google and Bing ads. Whoever set them up did it wrong. They were wasting about $15,000 a month, and I made 4 small changes, and within a month, their cost per sales was way down, and this is why I got bonuses. My students do the same thing with their very first accounts. They make very small changes, following the protocol and procedures you learn in the course. They have a direct impact on clients. And this is why companies are paying them $40K, $50K, $70K, and more. You become someone who can make someone else more money. Can I freelance or work for myself? Absolutely. This is my student Basma. She's amazing. She's an immigrant from Yemen. Really amazing what she lived through before she came to the U.S. and what she managed to do with her career since then. She's now a coach in her own right, but she got freelance clients. Henry is a very soft-spoken student of mine who has had freelance clients. He said at one point he's making $13,000 Canadian per month. A lot of students freelance. Sometimes you can also freelance while you're working your day job. And I teach about freelancing and getting your own clients in the course. The trade-off is you have more flexibility, but you have to actually close or sell the clients. Now, it's easier to get clients than with most other fields, but it still requires hustle versus a job where the clients and accounts are given to you. And again, I mentioned this at the end because most of my students want an actual job, but if somebody's interested in freelancing, I always let them know this is definitely also taught in the program. Part-time jobs, people ask about that. Less than 10% of the jobs are part-time. It's possible, but it's not the majority of the jobs. If you want to work part-time, you're better off getting your own clients because then you can work on your own schedule. This is Corey. He started freelancing at Upwork.com. He worked 5 to 10 hours a week. They liked him and offered him full-time work. He only wanted to work 25 hours a week. He was making $30 an hour. This is when he was about 19 or 20 years old. This is really incredible. And this is, again, just the very beginning of his career. Karen got a paid internship at 19. She worked at an agency. At age 21, she freelanced for an insurance company. They paid her $40 an hour, 25 hours a week. So she's effectively making about $50K a year, working part-time. Then she ended up working at Glassdoor. And I think since then, she's working for a Spanish language insurance company startup. So the point is, guys, there's just a lot of options once you have these skill sets. How do you level up your income? Many of my students get their own clients while they work their digital marketing jobs because the job provides stability and a stable income. Then you can add in more and more clients. A job has income limitations, but if you have the desire, you can add many clients, and other students go on to start their own businesses or do consulting. How do I get experience or clients? Now, first off, when I got my first job, I didn't know anyone. I worked on my own sites. Now, the course is self-contained. You can get experience at your computer by yourself. You can build your own website, run your own ads. But getting clients and practice is easier than you might think. Everyone needs this skill set. So the course contains guides, resources, strategies for getting experience and clients. And I've had even the most soft-spoken and shy students get clients that they can help and work on to generate their experience. Do I need to be a math whiz? No, you do not. You don't need to know calculus or algebra or anything. You need to be comfortable with math, business math, not school math, okay? If I have $100, if I spend $100 and I got 5 sales, how much did it cost per sale? $20. That's business math. Can you look at a bunch of numbers and draw conclusions, understand percentages, etc.?
Arrivo. Finisce.
Do I need a degree?
Arrivo.
No! I literally wrote the book on this, guys. Corey, Karen, Andrew R., Jeremy, Lorena, Kayshawn, so many testimonials have no college degree. I wrote a book called Skip College for Success. You're definitely welcome to read that. I just put all the data and statistics indicating that a degree just never leads to higher earnings. It's just that people who happen to have higher aptitude happen to choose to get a college degree. And that is why it's possible that these smart and ambitious young people, by skipping college, they don't become dumb somehow. They don't end up working at Walmart. They actually accelerate and skip past people who spent time and money on a degree. And if you have a degree, great. I have a degree, no biggie. But if you don't have one, don't worry about it. Is the course updated? Yes, it is constantly updated. In fact, some videos are newer than others. I just updated, we'll update the Google Ads section, and then something will become out of date in the SEO section, so I have to do that. And sometimes a student will say, hey, there's something over here that doesn't make sense. And so it's 40 hours of video, so it's a constant flow of things. Some of the strategy videos are a little bit older because they're concepts that kind of are ongoing concepts, like what is digital marketing. But overall, yes, it is constantly updated. I am constantly in the Facebook group.
Mammi, ti ho chiesto di aspettare.
There's the coaching calls, there's the Facebook group.
Immagino come non hai
Google
capito.
changes their font or like a little interface thing or a design thing. I don't update 40 hours of videos. I do it as is practical for my students, and I also always welcome student feedback if there's something that I missed because there's like a playlist and a video I forgot about, and they say, oh, hey, this is saying that. I go, great, thanks, and I update it. We're all human, but I said it's been working for many, many years, and again, there's always the coaching calls in the community to help you with the day-to-day stuff that's happening, and big changes made at Google. Everyone's talking about it in the forums or in the Facebook group, and that's another thing I love about the community. Strategy and industry news is key. I also teach students to stay current on their own so they're not depending on me, and that's another reason why they're so successful. You can email me at seth@digitalcareerblueprint.com, and as I mentioned, you can type a question or anything you want to say into the box below this webinar, and I will respond to that email. I answer every email I get personally. I don't have a team of assistants doing it, which also means, guys, please be patient. Sometimes I end up with like a lot of emails in my inbox and it's going to take me a few days to get to yours. This is a long-term, high-impact investment, and I encourage you to start today. You can go to digitalcareerblueprint.com/level up to learn even more about the course and sign up for the course. Feel free to send me emails or a message here with any questions, guys. I want to thank you for spending time with me during this presentation. I hope you found it informative and inspiring. And if this did resonate with you, I really look forward to seeing you in the course and helping share this skill set with you and helping you really start this life-changing career. Thanks so much, guys, and I hope to see you soon. Hey, this is Learning learning to manage ads can be learned and implemented by you online from home. SEO agency. Enjoy the process. Your hands on small business.
Serio?
Let's say he works for
Buon Natale. Sicuramente buon Natale. Заводка по-новому. Мне еще Никита сказал, Никита, там потерпела. Да. И кофточку одевать.
she said.
Я Джинджеру куртку надела, а сама делает куртку. Я как вышла, боже, думаю, возвращаться не буду. Как гуляешь? Хочешь, я задала? А ты видела, Никита that explain the things. Никита знал, да. Да, залезь по трубе.
Vabbè, quasi quasi vi dico che vi posso... Chiedo a ChatGPT di fare un riassunto di tutto e dopo ve lo metto in descrizione, così si busta. Oppure no, ve lo metto come commento. Ciao.